Hello again, this is Professor Sudhir Bisht and I teach business marketing or B2B marketing to the MBA students of 4th semester at DTC Noida. This esteemed college works under Guru Gobind Singh IP University, New Delhi. In today's lecture, I will talk about the selection of the channel partner selection in B2B marketing, whether it will be direct marketing or indirect marketing. But first of all, why this audio lecture today and not the video lecture? Because many students have said that they would like an audio lecture so that even when they are not concentrating on the screen, even when they are going for a walk, or even when they are in their bed not intending to look at the screen all the time, they are able to listen to my lecture, and that is the reason. So let us start our lecture today. So the flow of the lecture will be like this. I will first introduce you to the two broad categories of distribution channels, direct and indirect channels. And then in the second section, I will take you through the designing of the channel structure. Once you have decided whether you want to go direct to the customer or you want to go through the distributor channel, how do you design the channel which you have chosen to take? And lastly, we will talk about logistics and supply chain decisions in business marketing. What are the factors which impact the logistics and supply chain in business markets? Whenever I say business markets, you need to understand it is B2B marketing, and B2B marketing does not always mean online marketing. In fact, online marketing is a new phenomenon, is a new entity which has come into being in less than last 15 years. Lot of B2B marketing or business marketing has been happening since time immemorial through offline mode. So I told you, when a farmer takes his produce to the mandi or the APFC mandi to sell, he is actually participating into the food chain, which is B2C only at the last leg of the chain, but as otherwise it is a B2B channel. I hope you will like this lecture. What are the steps involved in industrial channel design process? Industrial channel, I have written, it also means business channel. Most of the industrial products uh, are different from consumer products or FMCG products or food products, because the way they are designed, the customers they serve, and the way the market perceives them. The first step in the process of designing the industrial channel is, it always starts with the customer. What does the customer need? Does the customer need that the product should be supplied to him on credit? So can a company deal with so many customers who want to deal or who want to avail of credit facility? Does the customer want that the product should be supplied to him? It's in small tranches. So can the company, can the seller, the original producer, does he have the wherewithal, or does he have the distribution network reach that he can service each customer which is located in a far-flung area, and by not selling to him a huge or a critical mass but in small parts? So what does the customer really need? It all starts with the analysis of the needs of the customer. A second step which is involved in industrial channel design process is known as defining the channel objectives. See, various channels have various objectives. For example, a large distributor channel which operates pan India basis uh, has different objectives. Sometimes the industrial distributors, they are, if not as big as the company itself, but if you take their turnover, and if they represent many companies, if you take their turnover, it is almost as big as one of the small company suppliers. So you have to define what are the channel objectives. Do, do you want do you want that your product, if it is supplied indirectly through a distributor to a factory, for example, Is the factory buyer or the buying team of the factory buying your product, or in effect it is buying any product that is being sold through the distributor whom you are using? So you have to clearly define the channel objectives. If your product has something which has got tremendous amount of product differentiation, then if you use a channel partner which is very strong, even then the uppermost image in the mind of a buyer is your company, not the distributor. However, if the product that you are distributing uh, does not have great differentiator, then it is possible that the distributor may at any time, because distributor is in contact with the final customer, distributor can at any time replace your product with the product of any other company. So you need to understand the channel, and that takes us to the third step. You have to list the task of the channel, and you have to know the limitation of a channel. A channel or a distributor partner may have limited financial muscle, limited financial muscle, and it is quite possible that buyer the buyer is looking for a long term credit, and the buyer is ready to sign a long term agreement, but the buyer may not be in a position to sign that contract with the distributor, because the distributor does not have the financial muscle to give that duration of credit. Also sometimes channel are limited by way of their technical knowledge. They may not have technical personnel who can answer the queries of the factory, or the technical team of the buyer. Okay, that is why you have to list out task of the channel. Is the task of the channel just to distribute on your behalf? Is the task of the channel just to collect money on your behalf? Or is the task of the channel also to impart technical training, also to do maintenance and repairs? So you have to list the task of the channel, and you have to know the limitation of channel. Fourth step is you have to identify channel alternatives. Channel alternatives means in a particular market there may be number of channel alternatives. There may be a distributor A who may have greater, stronger relationship with the customers whom you want to reach, but he may not have the technically qualified personnel. Okay, on the other hand, there may be one channel partner or a distributor who's available, who has excellent technical staff, but he does not have the financial strength to offer credit. There could be a channel, or there could be a distributor or a channel partner available who may be new, who may not have adequate credentials because he's being new in the market, but you perhaps feel that with the right kind of support and grooming, he can be converted into a very good channel alternative. So you have to identify the channel alternatives in the market, and you have to evaluate each one of them. It is very important that you select a channel partner who is in sync with your business strategic decisions or your long term business objectives. If you select a channel partner who is not very brand loyal, in the sense that the partner is always looking to make a quick buck by tying up with various companies, and which could include a company who could be your competitor, this is a channel on one hand. On the other hand, there are certain channel partners who believe in sustained long term relationship, because they believe that if they work with the company closely, and if the company grows, in the growth of the company lies their own growth. So various channel partners have differing operating philosophies. So that comes up to the final step, selection of channel partners. You need to list down You need to list down what is your requirement from a channel partner, and then you select the channel partner. Do you need to change channel partners? Well, when a company is new and it wants to reach the industrial customers, and the company is not such a big brand, the company is constrained by the choice of channel partner. It is it is said beggars can't be choosers. So if you are entering a market and you cannot serve all the customers on your own, and you need to go through a channel partner, then you have to sometimes start with any channel partner who might be available, and later on either you can develop that channel partner, or if need be, then you can add another channel partner in the same market and in the same territory. But these are discussions which we will carry on with in the next few slides. In this slide I am trying to show what are the channel alternatives which are available in business marketing. So we can basically group them into two parts. One is a direct channel and one is indirect channel. So direct channel can be further subdivided into two parts. One is direct selling or direct sales. In this, what is involved is straight selling to the end customer in all kind of relationship, whether the relationship is a transactional relationship or collaborative relationship or a partnership process. So you sell directly to the customer. An example could be Indian Oil Corporation selling diesel and petrol directly to the army units all over India. Like when I was in Jammu and Kashmir, posted as an assistant manager sales, I would be the officer in charge for ensuring that all the supplies to the Northern Command were made on time and the deliveries were proper, and I was involved, I was charged with collection of all the documents and to collect the payments as well, facilitate the payment. So this is direct selling or direct sales, in which the seller does everything, seller or the employee of the seller does everything. Second kind of direct channel is called direct marketing, in which one does not personally in flesh and blood reach the customer, but use of direct mail or online marketing or intranet of customer in case of collaborative relationship. What is meant by intranet? Intranet is if I am a supplier of spare parts to or some important parts to Toyota India, and Toyota India factory has got a intranet, and I have access to that software. So I know when my product needs to reach them. So this is intranet. So direct marketing would involve use of direct mail, online marketing, use of intranet, sometimes use of online platforms to sell. For example, there is Trade India. There is a government e-marketing portal in India called GEM portal. Okay, so this is direct channel, which is direct selling and direct marketing. What is the end goal? The end goal is to reach the business customer. Similar is the end goal for indirect channel also. In case of indirect channel, the seller does not reach the buyer directly or through its employees or through online marketing, but uses distributors and jobbers. Distributors and jobbers. A lubricant company which makes industrial distributors, it may sell directly to big factories, but for smaller units, it may use industrial distributors. Okay, this is meant by distributors. For example, Tata, uh, Tata Spares, Tata Timken, and which makes automotive parts for Tata trucks. It has appointed distributors who will who will reach the garages, the truck garages or the repair shops, and sell the spare products of Tata trucks to them. Then there are manufacturers representatives. Manufacturers representatives are those people who represent only one manufacturer in that industry. So they will not represent another manufacturer in a similar industry. In different industry, if the manufacturers belong to different industry, they can represent them. But if, for example, I am a I am a manufacturer representative in India of construction equipment or a paper or a paper machinery. I will represent only that manufacturer. I will not be on a salary basis. I will not be engaged on a salary by the manufacturer, but I will be engaged on the basis of success fee. As and when I succeed, I will get some fees. So I am representing that manufacturer not as an employee, but as an independent entity or as a freelancer. Third is brokers and commission merchants. The difference between manufacturers, reps, and brokers and commission merchants are brokers and commission merchants don't have specific loyalty to one company in a particular industry. Wherever they get to make some money, wherever they get to, they are able to cut a good deal, they deal with the manufacturer and the buyer. So manufacture, and sometimes the product is supplied directly by the supplier who may be located outside India to the buyer inside India. Only the broker or the commission merchant who has handheld this deal will get a commission, from the seller side, Then there are VAR. What are VAR? VAR are value added resellers. There may be an industry which may want one particular system to be supplied. Now, components of that systems are manufactured by different people. So, what does VAR do? VAR collects those various components, joins them or assembles them to form one full system and supplies it to the buyer. So this is value added reseller. For example, there may be a customer who may want to buy, for example, for a car industry, a full braking system. Now, braking system may have components which are manufactured by various other companies. I am taking a simplistic example. Now, the braking system of an automobile may have components which are manufactured by various other people. So, what the VAR will do, he will collect it from all of these manufacturers and put them together to make a full braking system and supply it to an automobile manufacturer. So, I have explained to you various type of direct and indirect channels or the channel alternatives which are available in the business marketing. So here is the mother of all questions. What do these middlemen do? When I say middlemen, I mean anybody who's between the seller and the buyer. Anybody who's, except for the employees of the seller, everybody else is a middleman. Okay, so what do middlemen do, and why do some customers they prefer middlemen rather than dealing directly with the supplier? Okay, it's an important slide. So first of all, let us look at. I have divided this. I have divided the answer into three parts, and let's start by answering the question that what are the services provided by middlemen. The first service which is provided by a middleman is buying. He buys on the behalf of the buyer. Okay, what are the reasons? We know there are many. The reason could be one of credit. The reason may be one of that the ultimate, the final buyer, he may be wanting to deal in cash. Whatever could be the reason, or if the supplier is from outside, the final consuming unit may not have an import license. Okay, so buying is the service on behalf of the buyer which is provided by middlemen. Promotion and selling, sometimes businessmen, middlemen, they buy the product, the title of the product is transferred to them, and then they develop their own market. Then they are also engaged in various activities like assorting, financing, warehousing, grading. Okay, so in essence they will be, a middleman may be buying various products from various sellers, and it may be then mixing up those products. Okay, mixing up those products and supplying an assortment of that to a final buyer. Okay, financing is obviously, the middleman may be providing a long term or a short term finance. Grading means there may be times that a buyer may be wanting to buy a product which may be of a different grade, and the middleman may be mixing the two products and supplying it to them, and maybe supplying it to them. This is very frequent in case of chemical products. In case of chemical products, when the ultimate buyer, he wants an assortment of something. To give you an example, there could be a particular kind of a fuel which may have a very low freezing point, a freezing point to the extent of minus 40, minus 35. So this is what the middleman may do. I have seen in some industrial buyers, they want that the middleman should buy fuel and additives and mix them up for them and supply it to them. Okay, middlemen also uh, perform the duty of transportation for the ultimate buyer. Information sharing is a very important task which is performed by the middleman, because the seller cannot reach the ultimate user or of the industrial product. The information services are rendered by the middleman. Similarly, technical services are provided by the middleman on behalf of the seller. And of course, there is a vital element of risk taking, because if the title is transferred to middleman, and then due to any reason, if the buyer is not in a position to buy the product, then the product falls squarely in the inventory of the middleman. So this is the risk taking which are involved. So what are the now who are the participants? Who are the participants in business marketing channel? Of course, there is manufacturer or his representative. Then industrial distributors or dealers are there. Sometimes there can be brokers, sometimes there can be commission merchants, sometimes there can be value added resellers, and sometimes the manufacturing branch or the regional offices can be there. And so these are the various marketing channels. So there can be different kind of uh, brokers. There may be brokers. If the brokers work 100% for one company and not with any competing company, you can call them manufacturers. They could be the manufacturer's representative, right? So these are the various participants. Why do some customers buy from distributors? Well, because the distributor is closer to the customer, and distributors keep stocks. Normally they keep stocks, and they are very particular about ascertaining what is the lead time. They being closer to the customer, they are able to forecast the inventory needs, so they are able to give assured delivery, and they are the better source of faster information. Also, a distributor may have a range of products. So if there is a factory X which requires 10 products, it is possible, and if it will reach each of the manufacturer directly, then it will have to get into 10 transactional relationship. But if there is one distributor who's looking after, who's selling all these 10 products, may not be manufacturing them, then this is assured delivery. And of course, credit terms, which I have explained in good detail in the previous slides also. They provide credit facility. Okay, so in this slide, let us discuss how do we design the channel in B2B marketing. So how do we develop the channel objectives? Channel means distributor, partner, or the middleman. So we call it channel. How do we develop the channel objective? In a large part, the objective of the channel depends upon the uh, selling company's marketing objective. If our marketing objective is to ensure that we give high quality high quality technical service and high quality after sale service, if that is our objective, and our after sale service is something which is very very difficult to be performed by somebody who is not adequately trained, then our channel objective will be different. But if we are selling a product which does not require much of after sales, and which is largely a consumable, which does not require a technical product evaluation while the product is being used, then our channel objective will be somewhat different. Okay. Second thing, when we develop channel objective, is when we have to analyze what are the constraints of channel. Okay. When we say constraints of the channel, uh, what is the environment like? What is the competition doing? What are the channels adopted by competition? What are the product characteristics? As I explained in one, that uh, suppose the suppose the product is highly technical product. If you are supplying, if you are supplying Airbus, okay, if you are supplying Airbus to, let us say, Indigo, or to Vistara, you know, you can't be depending on a middleman or a channel, because your product is such, it requires a lot of after sales service, it requires a lot of technical training. Then you need to do it yourself. Okay, you also need to see what is the customer's policy. In some cases the policy of the customer is not to deal with middlemen. For example, if you want to do any defense contract in India, you cannot engage middlemen or distributors. Okay, so you have a constraint, you cannot sell through middlemen, because the government of India's policy in all defense deal, they don't want any middlemen. So customers policy is also important. Then you need to analyze what are the channel tasks, what are the tasks which are to be performed by the channel, and what should be the nature, or what should be the quality of the channel that can perform that task. Small task, like if it is merely about warehousing and distribution, it can be performed by anybody. But if it involves, let us say, modifying your product, or customizing your product before it reaches the factory, or assembling the product, then this is a task which has to be given to a channel which is highly sophisticated channel. So these are the channel objectives. Channel alternatives, when you talk of channel alternatives, then first thing you look at is what are the type of intermediaries you require. Okay, whether you require an intermediary which is very high on financial strength, or you require more than one intermediary. Do you require two intermediaries? But suppose you are your company has a product which has very few clients. Okay, and you also want to be selective, because you are selling a product which is technologically very superior, and not all factories can afford it. You need to be selective, so it will have a bearing upon number of middlemen you will have. On the other hand, if you want intensive kind of distribution, you want to reach every factory at every nook and cranny of the country, then you need to have more number of intermediaries in, and you need to divide the territories into smaller territories. Do you want to go for exclusive distribution, which means that if you appoint, let us say, a distributor for an industrial product. For example, Castrol has a exclusive distributor for Ghaziabad industrial area. So Castrol will sell all its product, which it is not directly selling to the customer, but Castrol will only appoint one distributor of industrial products in Ghaziabad, or in a part of Ghaziabad. So this is called exclusive distribution. Do you require more channels? That means, is it that you require one distributor, and then that distributor will have so many other distributors? It is quite possible. It is quite possible, because there may be some products for which there may be two distributors for all over India. Suppose it is a chemical which is sold from France, so it may have two distributors, one for north and east, and the other for south and west. And then these distributors can have their own sub distributors, okay, for various states, for that particular chemical. It is possible that you have number of channels, number of intermediaries. Then the terms and responsibilities of channel members have to be ascertained, who's responsible for what. Finally, how do you evaluate the alternatives which are available to them? Of course, economic factor is very important. Economic factor means, if you want to achieve a market share in a particular market, and it requires that lot of investment to be made in terms of warehousing, in terms of stock keeping, or in terms of giving credit, then economic factor, economic analysis of the distributor or the channel is very important. Control factors. Sometimes a very powerful distributor or a middleman, okay, he can be a blessing for a company, but it can later on turn out to be a bane on the company, because he may start to dictate terms with you. And that brings us to the adaptive factor. Adaptive factor means, can this channel adapt to the changing needs of the customer and of the seller? Okay, so economic factor, control factor, adaptive factor. So final selection criteria is, it can be based upon location, it can be based upon relevant expertise, financial standing, infrastructure. So these are the some of the things. You have to develop the channel objective, then you have to evaluate the various channel alternatives, you have to evaluate these alternatives in terms of economic factor, control factor, adaptive factor, and you have to make the final selection. Designing a channel, evaluating every channel, and finally selecting a channel, appointing a channel partner is one thing. It is quite another thing to be successfully able to manage that channel partner, to keep the channel partner motivated. Keeping a channel partner motivated is one of the biggest challenges in all kind of distributions, whether it is FMCG products or it is consumer durables or it is industrial products. So how do you motivate the intermediaries? So these are the various words we are using: intermediaries, channel partners, channel distributors, middlemen. All when I am using any of these words, I mean anybody who falls between the seller and the customer. Okay, so how do you motivate the intermediaries? Of course, there needs to be a partnership concept. If the seller, if the firm, if the organization starts to feel that the survival of the intermediary depends upon the supplier, then this is not good. You need to value the contribution which a middleman or a intermediary is making in your entire value chain. Another kind of motivation for middlemen is vendor managed inventory system, VMI. Because middlemen, they invest a lot in keeping the inventory for the final customer. What if the inventory which the vendor manages at its end, the title, if that title is not sold to that middleman, but he keeps it as the inventory of the seller? There is a machinery which is worth, let us say, 2 crore rupees, which has been bought by the middleman for a factory. So if that inventory is if that machine is first bought in the name of the middleman, and then it is sold to the final factory, so this will require a very high amount of risk. What if the final customer, he refuses to take delivery of the machine? So vendor managed inventory system comes into play. In this case, the seller or the original manufacturing company, it manages the its own inventory sometimes at the place at the warehouse of the vendor, at the warehouse of the supplier. So this is called vendor managed inventory system. Sometimes when if you sometimes when the consignment size is very large, for example, if you are shipping product, let us say from one of the European countries, and you are supplying to a middleman in one container which is of uh, uh, 10 metric ton container. So why do you supply one container? Because it gives an economy of scale, then the logistics cost is reduced. But this 10 metric ton worth of consignment, it will be sold it will be sold by the middleman over a period of 6 months. So is it possible that you collect the money after 6 months? Or of course you charge the interest cost, and in countries like in a European country, the cost of finance is very low, let us say 3% or 2%, whereas in case of India, the cost of finance is as high as 9 to 10%. So vendor managed inventory system. Another way of motivating the channel partner could be, to give them discounts, timely commissions, distributor council. Sometimes you have a body in which the parent company and the distributors, they form a kind of a council, and the job of the council is to ensure that there is a win-win situation all the time. There is a win-win situation all the time for all the elements in the value chain. Training and coaching is very vital for motivating intermediaries. And channel positioning system is something which is based upon core element of distributorship. Why are the distributors there? So there is a kind of a matrix which is formed, and it is ensured that the interest of the company and the interest of the middlemen, they are both matched. Okay, so core elements of distributorship means what is the bare minimum return for the distributor that is needed to ensure the viability of that distributorship. Okay, these kind of elements are assessed, and remuneration chain is built up to ensure that the distributor has at least that kind of a saving or a remuneration. Capacity building programs like training programs are built in this matrix. Incentive programs, okay, incentive programs, uh, for example, bonus. Okay, so in this channel positioning matrix, the seller, which is the who's the bigger of the two, of course middleman cannot match seller in terms of the financial strength of the seller. Seller pays for all these three things, like capacity building programs, like training. It ensures that minimum amount of incentive is given. Okay, this is all about motivating the intermediaries. And how do you control? Because you have to control whenever there are two partners in a relationship, conflicts are bound to happen. There can be conflicts, there can be a difference in objectives. The objective of the company may be not to be making a profit right now, but to be building up a demand for the product, whereas the objective of the intermediary could be to skim the market, to make as much profit as possible, or at least to make uh, decent profit. Okay, dealing with customer, the philosophies can change. How to deal with the customer, the intermediary, because he is closer to the customer, he may sometimes need to go tough on the customer because he's selling him so many other things. So he may be wielding some kind of a controlling influence on the factory or the customer. But this may not be liked by the the seller. Okay, the principal seller. Difference in the interest, difference in perceptions. There could be conflicts related to compensation. Very important is territory related conflicts. This happens when industrial distributors are assigned geographical territories. So one distributor may actually go out of his territory to sell in the other person's territory. And sometimes the territory size of a one particular industrial distributor may be curtailed by the company, because the company thinks that the current distributor does not have the financial muscle to give credit to all the factories. So territory related conflicts, all these conflicts have to be controlled. Most importantly, there has to be effective communication between intermediaries and the principal company, because many of these conflicts arise because of lack of clarity in communication. Communication is vital. That is why I have included things like distributor council. Okay, I just want to also say that I have used Professor KK Havaldar's business marketing book for all these tables. So I'm very thankful to him, and on behalf of all my students, would like to acknowledge the great service he has done by writing this book, and I recommend this book to all. Effective communication and joint goal setting. See, mainly the conflicts between the principal company and the intermediaries they arise because of the goal setting is not done jointly. The company may like to push the volume objectives on the intermediary. The intermediary may like to not to take so much of volume objective, but it may want to emphasize more upon its bottom line. So there has to be joint goal setting. So once you motivate your intermediaries, you are able to control channel conflicts, there is effective communication, there is joint goal setting, it will lead to excellent relationship between the company and the channel partners.
What is meant by vertical marketing system? Let me explain it by first giving an example of what we see in the distribution channel. In a distribution channel, there is a producer, and then there is a middleman, and then there could be some retailers. Okay, so there could be a producer of small generator sets. Okay, he could appoint different industrial distributors in various geographical markets, and then these distributors who may not have showroom, they may further sell small generators to various industrial customers, right? Or let us take the case of large inverter batteries. Okay, there is one main manufacturer. The main manufacturer, he has four four distributors, or four distributors in North India, one in North India, one is South India, one is East India, and one in West India. Now these distributors, they appoint smaller distributors or retailers who sell the inverter battery systems to households, okay, or to factories, or to offices, or to educational institutions. So this is a these are typical arms of a B2B channel. Okay, now what happens in this in a traditional case is that because their objectives are often at loggerhead with the objectives of the other people. The objective of the main producer may be not so much to make per unit profit, but the objective could be to achieve a large market share. The objective of a distributor may be to minimize his cost of distribution, and the objective of a retailer who's selling this industrial product or this inverter battery to various offices or educational institutes or even households, his objective could be to maximize profit in each of the unit that he sells. So the because of these conflicting objectives, there are often strains in the value chain, in the distribution channel. So vertical marketing system tries to address that. Vertical marketing system ensures that there is some kind of a understanding contract between the three members: the manufacturer, the middleman, and the final retailer, or the seller. Okay, so that their interests don't clash, but rather their interests are interwoven harmoniously in the distribution chain. So let's first take corporate VMS. In corporate VMS, one member of the distributor channel, be it producer, a wholesaler, or a retailer, he owns all the other members of the channel, thereby having all elements of production and distribution channel under a single ownership. To give an example, I can think of an example like Bata India Limited, Bata, which produces the shoes at its factories. There is a factory in Faridabad in North India. There is a factory in Kolkata. There is a factory in Mumbai. They have their own stores. They own the retail a chain of Bata stores. So Bata India Limited has complete control on the producer as well as the retail channel. Okay, okay, it has complete control on the uh, producer and the retail channel. In case of industrial products, large large companies don't often have this corporate VMS, because they supply either directly to the customers, or they have their distributors who supply to the customer. But sometimes it can so happen that both the entities can be owned by only one person. In case of JCB has one it has a selling arm which buys the old JCBs from the market, refurbishes them, makes them not as good as the new but almost as good as the new, and then sells it. So this is an example of corporate VMS. In case of contractual VMS, every member works independently, but they integrate their activities on a contractual basis to earn more profits that are earned when working in isolation. So you can say a contractual VMS is like a normal channel which we see more often in the real life, but there exists some kind of a contract between the producer and the wholesaler or the intermediary and a retailer. So what is the kind of a contract is that the producer will sell to distributor so much quantity, this will be the volume discount, this will be the credit period. So there is a contract, and these are the targets of the intermediary also signs a contract with the retailer in terms of the volume. When I say volume, I mean sales, in terms of volume objectives, in terms of new customers, so on and so forth. This is contractual VMS. Then there is a third category which is called administered VMS. Under administered VMS, there is no contract between the members of production and distribution channel, but their activities do get influenced by the size and power of any one of the member. I repeat, there is no formal contract between members of production and distribution channel, but their activities do get influenced by the size and power of any one of the members. In simple words, any powerful or influential member of the channel can dominate the activities of the other channel members. Once again, any powerful or influential member of the channel can dominate the activities of other channel members. Let us take the case of a distributor who distributes specialty chemicals which it imports from a European country. Okay. Now, this India distributor may not have any contract with the supplier of the specialty chemicals, but it buys in such large quantity, it pays in advance, or maybe it works on a letter of credit basis. It does not take the credit from the supplier which is located in Europe, but it is such a powerful distributor that the supplier also is likely to be influenced or likely to be dictated by this powerful distributor who is the distributor for India. Mind you, there may be no exclusive contract, but if this India distributor does not, if it stops patronizing this Europe based manufacturer, then the business plan of this Europe based manufacturer may be jeopardized. So because of the size and power of the member, now this India distributor further supplies the specialty chemicals to industrial distributors, and the small industrial distributors also buy on a cash and carry system or on a credit system or whatever. But the big India distributor is so powerful, he has such financial muscle, maybe he has such technical expertise, maybe he has been able to acquire such a brand name that the smaller distributors, they are very much under the influence of this India distributor. So this is administered VMS. Under administered VMS, all members of the chain, they are different legal entities not owned by anyone. There may not be any binding contract between the three, but the activities of all members get influenced by the size and the power of one member. So this is what is meant by vertical marketing system. I hope you have understood it. How do we evaluate the performance of channel partners? The channel partner has been selected and guidelines have been given to the channel partner. So first is that before we start to evaluate the channel partners, we have to see what are the key result area of a channel partner. Because unless you give the key result area to a channel partner, you cannot make any assessment of the actual performance against the expected performance. So in this chart I have tried to evaluate the performance of a channel partner based upon 4 parameters. So you are judging a channel partner based upon 4 evaluation factors. First is actual sales versus target sales. So if this target sale was to achieve 100 units and the actual sale is also 100 units, so it's considered to be very good performance. So you would also see that I have mentioned something called weight. So if there are four factors: actual sales, delivery performance, customer feedback, and contribution in market growth and customer acquisition. So all the factors combined together, I have given it a weight of 1 or 100%. So 1. So out of this 1, the weight of this parameter or this factor called actual sales versus target is 0.5. The delivery performance weightage is 0.2. Customer feedback, the weightage is 0.1, and contribution in market growth or customer acquisition, the factor is 0.2. If you total up all these four weights, it will lead to 1. So the total of all the weights cannot be more than 1. Now we evaluate the channel partner in respect of each of the evaluation factor. Maximum marks for each factor is 10. So for actual sales versus target, I have given a particular channel partner 8 marks, because 8 marks I have given because he has performed, uh, he has met his target. So if he meets his targets, he gets 8 marks. Okay, if he exceeds his target, he can get 9 marks. If he exceeds his targets by a great deal, he gets 10 marks. So this is a this is a kind of a example I am trying to give you. So delivery performance has a weightage of 0.2, and the customer has delivered, he has maintained, he has been able to meet the delivery target every time, so he gets 10 on 10 marks. Third factor is customer feedback. Customer feedback is very, very positive. A survey was done, and the final customers, the factories, the industrial buyers, they gave a very good feedback of the channel partner. So he's got 9 marks. Then contribution in market growth is the fourth factor, or customer acquisition. Here the customer has the weightage is 0.2. Here the customer has not performed in market growth or in acquiring new customer very well. Suppose he had a target of getting 10 new industrial accounts and he has not been able to do it, so he has been given low marks. He has been given 6. He has been his evaluation is 6 out of 10. So now we multiply the evaluation by weightage. So for actual sales versus target, the channel partner score is 4. For delivery performance, the channel partner score is 2. For customer feedback, weight is 0.1 and the evaluation is 9. So 0.9. And contribution in market growth acquisition, the weight is 0.2 and the evaluation is 6. So it is 1.2. Now we will total up all of these, and as you see, total cannot be more than 10. So here the channel partner score of weighted average multiplied by evaluation, which is the channel partner score on each of the factors put together, is 8.1. That means this channel partner has performed creditably well. So this is how evaluation is done in respect of channel partners. What is meant by supply chain management, or SCM? So SCM refers to the management of key business processes which are related to the product flow and conversion of goods from raw material to the goods which are ready for use by the final consumer. Once again, all the gamut of activities which are related to the product flow and conversion of goods from raw material to the goods which are ready for use by the final consumer. So SCM involves a complete series of activities which may or may not be interconnected to one another, such as sourcing, procurement, transformation or operations, material handling, logistics, as well as collaboration with channel partners that assist in the process of acquiring raw material and distributing it to the ultimate user. So, channel partner can be suppliers, wholesalers, distributors, third party service providers, anything. So, in this slide, let us try to understand what is the SCM process, or supply chain management process, as defined by Global Supply Chain Forum. So there are some 7 or 8 steps in this. At the top is CRM, or customer relationship management. Customer relationship management, or CRM, is its main function is to plan, control, and assess customer interaction and data during the life cycle, with the aim of building strong relations. Once again, CRM plans, controls, and assesses the interaction between the company's partners, and the customers. And it uses all that data that it has during the life cycle for building stronger relationship. So CRM is not just a package for logistics or supplies. CRM, it assesses all the data which is generated, and it aims at building strong relations with the end customer, with suppliers. So customer service management is another process. Customer service management, this assists in administering product and service contracts. Customer service management, it assists in administering product and service contracts with various suppliers, with various suppliers and vendors. Similarly, supplier relationship management. Supplier relationship management, it guides in developing and maintaining a good relationship with the suppliers. At the time of selecting suppliers, priority is given to suppliers' capability regarding quality, reliability, innovation, services, and cost reduction. Another aspect of SCM process is manufacturing flow management. Manufacturing flow management. Manufacturing flow management, it it consists of activities associated with the movement of product inside and outside the factories to have flexibility in the manufacturing process. Then we also hear a term like order fulfillment and demand management. Demand management is a comprehensive structure which is provided to best understand the customer needs. When does the customer want to buy? The periodicity of order given by the customer, the quantum of the order. This is what is meant by demand management. Another aspect of SCM is order fulfillment. Order fulfillment, it encompasses all the activities which identify customer needs, and it frames the logistics network to fulfill that order. To fulfill that order. Another key aspect of SCM process, supply chain management processes, development and commercialization. In this, a framework is provided for developing and introducing new products into the market. Another very important aspect of SCM process is returns management, and all of this is as per the Global Supply Chain Forum. If you see, some of it may appear that it is outside the scope of SCM. Outside the scope of SCM. For example, developing and introducing new product into the market is not exactly in the domain of SCM, but the Global Supply Forum considers that its input, because it is responsible for customer relationship management, it is responsible for demand management, order fulfillment, it is close to the customer, hence it thinks it plays a good, important, and significant role in product development and commercialization. The last aspect of SCM process is returns management. Returns management. It is concerned with the functions associated with returns or reverse logistics. Reverse logistics. It is an indispensable part of SCM process and is required in both the upstream and downstream movement of the goods for the best possible use of organization's resources. Okay, upstream movement, when the goods move to the factory, to the operating location from the vendors. Downstream, when it moves from the factory to the customers. And sometimes there is a returns management when the customer returns a product. This is very very prominent today, very prominent today in e-commerce, whether it in B2B portals or in B2C portals. So the SCM process defined as per Global Supply Chain Forum consists of customer relationship management, customer service management, supplier relation management, demand management, order fulfillment, manufacturing flow management, product development and commercialization, and returns management. It is important to note here that traditionally one may not see all the functions, because in this definition given by global supply chain forum, it is an ambitious definition in which they have gone out of the normal ambit of the SCM process and has included aspects like providing and introducing new products to the market. So but the gist is that SCM forms an intrinsic and a very important part of the value chain.
Another way of looking at supply chain is to try and understand what are the various elements of supply chain management. So, if you put SCM in the center as it has been illustrated in this slide, we see first is planning or plan. So, plan represents a strategic segment of supply chain management because one requires some sort of a strategy to manage resource utilization for the ultimate purpose of satisfying the customer requirements. So strategic plan or planning is one of the most important and in fact the starting point of supply chain. Second important element of supply chain is the source. By source, one means selection of suppliers for supplying raw materials to produce the product. And when I say selecting the suppliers for product, I mean product or services. So sourcing. Third element of supply chain is making the product. This segment is all about production, which schedules all the operations essential for production, testing, packaging, labeling, etc. Now, this is a debatable point whether manufacturing or production comes under supply chain management. The Global Supply Chain Forum tends to believe that manufacturing or operations is a part and parcel of supply chain management. But if you see the value chain analysis by Porters, it talks about inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics. So if you combine inbound logistics, outbound logistics with the operations, that becomes kind of a supply chain management. However, currently people are divided. If you see the head of supply chain management in many companies, he is not the operations head. But some people tend to believe that operations or production is an integral part of supply chain management. The fourth element is the delivery part, to deliver. This indicates logistics, which starts with the receipt of orders from the customer. Further, it builds a network of warehouses for storing the product, choosing the carriers to deliver the product to the customer, and establishing a system of receiving payments. Okay, this is the deliver or delivery section of supply chain. I have taken this from a website called businessjargons.com, so I have not tinkered with the words. So if it is plan, I have mentioned plan. If I would like to mention planning rather than plan, planning, sourcing, making, delivering. But since the original author in the website has chosen to use the word deliver and not delivery, I am keeping it like that. Then the last element is the return. It is the most critical part of entire system where a network is created to take back excess or defective products delivered to the customer. And it also provides support services to those who encounter some problem with its usage. You see, the supply chain management system, it brings together all the key activities like purchasing, production. And when I say production, I qualify the statement here that some people want to keep production out of the ambit of supply chain management. But the Global Supply Chain Forum believes that production is a vital part of SCM. So purchasing, production, storage, transportation, distribution, under a single system, when you do that in order to produce and distribute the merchandise in the desired quality and quantity, at the right time, at the right place. So the intent is the overall cost is reduced and service levels are vastly improved. The last two words are very important. All these elements in the supply chain, their objective is that overall cost is reduced and service levels are improved. So that sums up the elements of supply chain. A question which is often asked by supply chain management professionals or the other professionals is, what is the meaning of logistics and how is logistics different from supply chain management? So let me try to answer what is meant by logistics. Logistics is actually, it's a management process which integrates movement of goods and services. Also, information and capital, right from sourcing of raw material till it reaches the end customer. It is known as logistics management. The idea or the aim or the objective behind the logistics process is to provide the right product with the right quality at the right time in the right place at the right price to the ultimate customer. So once again, the objective behind the process is to provide right product with the right quality at the right time in the right place at the right price to the ultimate customer. Now you will say that pricing is not a matter of logistics. Pricing is the fourth P of marketing. It is correct, but logistics or SCM professionals believe that if they are able to reduce the cost, if they are able to optimize the cost, and if it reflects in the pricing, so it works to the it works for the cause of the customer. So basically, logistic activities, they are divided into two broad categories. One is inbound logistics, and the other is outbound logistics. So activities which are concerned with procurement of raw material, handling, storage, and transportation till the time of the things reaching the factory, it is called inbound logistics. Outbound logistics is the activities which are concerned with the collection, maintenance, and distribution or delivery to the final consumer or final customer is outbound logistics. Okay, apart from these, other activities are warehousing, uh, packing, protective packing, order fulfillment, stock control, maintaining equilibrium between demand and supply, stock management. All of this will eventually result in uh, cost saving and time saving and lead to high quality of product and service. So this is basically logistics. Logistics, if you ask me, is a part of supply chain management, and logistics is divided into inbound logistics and outbound logistics. This also founds resonance with Porter's five forces of value chain analysis. So dwelling upon the difference between SCM and logistics, or SCM versus logistics, I have taken this from a website called keydifferences.com, and there are three columns here. On the first column is about basis for comparison. The second is logistics management and supply chain management. So first and foremost, the meaning, as I said in the previous slide, the process of integrating and movement of and maintenance of goods in and out of the organization is logistics, whether it is inbound logistics or outbound logistics. Whereas SCM is coordination and management of the supply chain activities, not just movement and maintenance of goods, but the entire supply chain activities, which means shortlisting the vendors, negotiating with the vendors, payment to the vendors, developing vendors, okay, uh, appointing new warehouses, appointing new stock points. All of this is a part of supply chain management. So as it is mentioned in the last point also, uh, logistics management is a fraction of supply chain management, and supply chain management is a new and improved version of logistics management. Okay, the objective of logistics management was for customer satisfaction, because all activities in management aim at customer satisfaction. But SCM, the objective is competitive advantage. When the value across the value chain, the value that is offered or the value that is added, it keeps on increasing. It not only leads to customer satisfaction, but it gives a competitive advantage. Competitive advantage means the uh, the benefit that the customer sees in coming to you than going to the competition. Customer satisfaction, it goes beyond customer satisfaction. Supply chain management aims at competitive management. if you see in terms of evolution, the concept of logistics has been evolved earlier. It's an old concept, and supply chain management is a modern concept. And in terms of interface, how many organizations are involved in logistics management? Mostly the concerned organization, single organization. And in SCM, there are multiple organizations which are involved. Because if you're opening a private warehouse, or if you're appointing clearing and forwarding agencies, all of this, all of these are different business entities. They are different business entities. So SCM is a more evolved form of logistics management. Logistics management. And it is not that logistics management has gone out of fashion. It is very important to improve upon the inbound logistics and the outbound logistics. But so many new things, CRM has come into place. A lot of things have come into place because of computerization, because of World Wide Web, because of close connectivity between the principal organization and other subsidiary organizations or organizations which work with this principal organization. SCM has evolved over the years, and SCM, the logistics management, is nothing but an important ingredient of supply chain management. In the final analysis, the functions of physical distribution are many: transportation, warehousing, inventory control, packaging, material handling, order processing, communicating with all the stakeholders, whether they are part of inbound logistics team or outbound logistics team, selection of factory location, warehousing location, all of this, and customer service, which pre-sales, during sales, and post-sales. All of this are functions of physical distribution or logistics or supply chain management, whatever you would like to call it. But these are the nine basic functions of physical distribution, and a company which excels in all of this is able to provide not only customer service but competitive advantage. If you see point number 9, which is customer service, pre-sales, during sales, post-sales, many can argue that customer service is not related to supply chain management directly, but uh, it is directly related to supply chain management. If one is to, let us say, supply the solar panels, and the contract includes not only supply of solar panels but installation and commissioning of solar panels at the site. So all these activities, which are pre-sale activities, selection of location, where will the solar panels will be installed, what are the things which the customer needs to provide to the installation team, all of this will be a part of supply chain management. At the same time, it is very important that supply chain management plays a key and critical role in factory location, in warehousing location, because location is the key. Imagine if you have to set up a oil if you have to set up a refinery in India. The key question is, will it be a refinery which will be close to the coastal area? Because if a refinery is close to the coastal area, most of the crude oil which comes, it comes by sea. So it is very good if the factory is very near the coastal area. But then you need to distribute this crude, this processed, once you process the crude, and it results into various kind of petroleum products like petrol, diesel, naphtha, bitumen, base oil. You need to distribute it all over India. So do you need a refinery which is in a coastal location, or do you need it in a place which is the largest consumption center of India, for example, North India? Then so if you want to locate the refinery, let us say in northern India, how will you transport the crude from coastal location to North India? Would you use the crude pipeline? Okay, or it is better to process the crude and have the refinery in the coastal region, and then send through product pipeline the finished product, petrol, diesel, etc., to various location. Supply chain management plays a very vital role in all of this. Another very important aspect is packaging. How, if you are a bottler like Coca-Cola, and you are supplying your Coca-Cola bottles even to the small towns, small tehsils, even to the villages. So how do you package your product? Okay, what is the ratio in which you should build PET bottles versus the aluminum cans versus the glass bottles? So packaging, warehousing, inventory control, transportation, all of these are very vital functions of physical distribution. You may call it logistics, you may call it supply chain management, but the fact is that these nine functions are extremely critical for the success of any good commercial enterprise. Thank you.